Laura Vorreyer is the author of the book The Petsitter's Tale, a longtime professional pet sitter to the stars. She's cared for countless pets throughout her 15-plus years in the business of pet sitting. Laura has seen and pet-sitted for everything, from dogs, cats, bunnies, birds, llamas, even a Vietnamese potbelly pig. And Laura joins us on the phone this morning. Laura, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be on with you.
Now, tell us how you started in the business of pet sitting.
Well, accidentally, quite frankly. So I came out to L.A. which is Los Angeles. I came out to Los Angeles from Chicago in 2002 to be a makeup artist, thinking I would be a makeup artist to the stars, and failed miserably at that. And one day I was doing some extra work walking a dog for a would-be actress, and was working on a lot with her while she was working on a film and walking a little dog named Abby. And out of another trailer came the comedian Paula Poundstone and marched right over to me and said, "Hey, are you a professional dog walker?" And I told her yes, and I've never looked back.
Paula Poundstone's so funny. Did you do a lot of dog walking for her pets?
Yes, I did. So she had a really big dog. His name was Cal. And, it was just right place, right time, because she saw me walking that dog, and that was a light bulb moment for her. And she thought, gosh, I need someone to walk my dog, too. And she just came right up to me and said, "Are you a professional dog walker?" And I said, yes, and I walked her dog for a long time. And she actually, unwittingly, really gave me the push and the start in the business, because once I started walking Cal, I just got so much business. I just, started hiring people and branching out, and had a bunch of different locations, and just never looked back, never did makeup again for anybody else. I mean, it was crazy. It just pivoted, and that's the direction my life took.
Now, over 15 years ago, dog walking, that had to be a new business. There must have been nothing like that around.
Nothing like that. So again, right place, right time, and just started doing it in a very professional way. So committed, responsible, passionate, showed up and did my job, never failed, never called in sick, never just thought, well, today's a great day, I'll go to the beach instead. So always professional, and I think that caused me to be so successful so quickly, because I was always very professional. It wasn't just something I was doing because nothing better came along. It was something I really embraced and was really passionate about people and their pets.
So you're not actually walking fish or reptiles. So you
but if a fish could walk, I would do it.
So you're doing the usual with them. You're feeding them and caring after their cages, things like that, right?
Yeah. So, whatever a person has, and if they just show me the process of, the care, a typical day, I usually can go through it. So I've taken care of everything from very large birds to the Vietnamese potbelly pig that you mentioned, to a llama, and then, thousands, I'd say, of cats and dogs, so many.
So you must have stories about some of the more, I wouldn't say outrageous, but I'll say outrageous. Some of the more outrageous instructions you've been given over the years for pets.
Oh, so many. I mean, people love their pets. They're part of their family, and they have that bond with them. It's the unconditional love. So they want to be sure that they are getting the exact same treatment or even better treatment while the person is gone, so that they know they're being taken care of. And in some cases, they want to actually witness that. So I've done FaceTime with people halfway around the world, because they want to make sure that their pet's in good shape and that they're doing okay and that they're having a good time and they're not missing them too much. So people always want the same basic things, but it does get a little outrageous when people want you to be very exacting with the amount of food that they get, or the exact degree temperature that it's served at, and all sorts of stuff. But, we really try and make everybody happy, because, we want that repeat business.
Talking with Laura Vorreyer, author of the book The Petsitter's Tale. What are some of the chapters in The Petsitter's Tale? What have you written about?
So, the book is about 10 stories from the beginning of my time landing in L.A. to kind of falling in, and that was, I think, There Will Be Poop. And, going pro, like how it happened that I became a professional. And then one of the chapters is called Dog Walkers, and that's just all about embracing hiring people, because I had never really run a business before. And what happened to me was I would get a call from a client and I'd say yes, yes, yes. You know how it is when you're starting something, you always say yes because you don't want to turn anything away. And I was driving all over LA, which is very spread out, and I would drive for 45 minutes to an hour and walk somebody's dog for a half hour and then walk, another dog in the opposite direction. And I was just driving maybe 200 and 300 miles a day.
Wow.
So after I just kind of tired myself out from that, I said, hey, I've got to hire people. Well, what will I do? So I put an ad on the internet, and I just started, interviewing people. And that's one of the chapters in my book is like the craziness behind finding people who want to be professional dog walkers and not just people who need the money.
Oh, yeah, it's a very personal thing. Like we said a little earlier, these are family members.
They're family members, and, not anybody can do it. I mean, it takes somebody who is really passionate and committed. It's not just something that you want someone to come in and throw the food at your dog and go, okay, see you later. You want somebody who's going to be warm and cuddly with your pet. You want somebody who's going to love on the pet the way that you would. You don't want somebody who's going to come in and take care of your cat who says, oh, I don't even like cats and I'm allergic or whatnot. You really want them to love your pet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can throw a sandwich at my son, but don't you dare throw anything at Fluffy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what they say, furry children, they don't, steal our credit cards and crash our cars. I mean, people love their pets so much. It's that unconditional love.
So other than Paula Poundstone, what other celebrities have you pet-sitted for?
So Dr. Dre was a longtime client of mine for almost the entire time that I've been in business. I've taken care of his dogs since they were puppies till, their unfortunate demise. So Dr. Dre, Gabrielle Union, Paula Abdul, Jim Carrey. A lot of A-listers, but they're just like us. They just want someone to do a good job and take care of their pets for them.
Did you look after a pet for, say, a giant actor who had a tiny little dog, or vice versa?
Well, it's funny that you say that because Dr. Dre has sort of this reputation of being, like gangster rapper.
Oh, yeah.
That he had a tiny little white dog named Ginger that was a poodle, and she would always have bows in her hair and matching nails.
Exactly. Who ruled that household, right?
Exactly.
Now, what advice can you give people who just got a puppy and really can't afford a pet sitter to come to the house every day while the family's at work or school? Like, should the puppy be crate trained? Like, what do you do?
Definitely. So you really have to crate train a puppy, or you're going to come home to just, soiled household goods everywhere and, torn up shoes and stuff. So you want to crate train your puppy, but in the beginning, definitely from the very beginning, you want to establish that the crate is a great place to be, that the crate is just going to mimic that natural environment of the pet being in a den. So, before dogs were domesticated, they wouldn't create dens for themselves. So make that crate just a really comfy place for the pet to go in, put blankets in there and treats and toys. And you want to make it so that, they can work up to being in the crate. And I always say, you don't always have to hire a professional pet sitter. There's always people in the neighborhood who are willing to do trades or work with you, like, hey, you let my dog out and I'll let your dog out. So I say definitely crate train, and make sure before you put that puppy in the crate that they've had a chance to do their business and they've been exercised. Set them up for success in yourself too. And then as your puppy gets older and can hold it longer, they're going to be a full-grown dog before you know it, and they're going to be happy to go in that crate because that's a happy place for them. That's where, they get to sleep, and that's where they feel safe and secure.
Exactly right. You're building that little home for them. It's almost like back in the day when you had the cliched doghouse out in the backyard for your dog.
That's right. And, I still know clients that do that. They have a dog house in their backyard, and the dog can go in it, and they feel safe in it. And, you don't even know they're back there sometimes. They're like, hey, Fluffy, are you in the house? They don't want to come out. They love it.
And when a Hollywood marriage falls apart, that's where one of them goes.
That's right.
I'm in the guest house.
In the doghouse. Listen, the way property values are out here, you wouldn't mind living in some of these doghouses.
I bet. How do you what do you say to people who want to buy like a reptile, a boa constrictor, or something that's exotic?
Well,
Do you recommend it?
Well, you know what? It's up to the individual. I am not a reptile person, but I do know that people do love their exotics and their reptiles and their snakes and their whatnots. But, make sure that you know what you're getting into and that you're able to meet the needs of that animal, because you have to look at temperatures and food and socialization, if that's the case, and taking good care and making sure that animal has a good quality of life. I mean, I'm not a real advocate for people to go out and get exotics unless they know what they're doing, unless they're rescuing it, that, they belong in their natural environment. I would say unless you're for sure you're going to improve the quality of life of the animal, don't get it. Know before you go. That's probably the best advice I can give.
And learn what they eat, because a lot of animals like tarantulas and geckos eat live food. And if you can't stomach that, you shouldn't have an animal like that.
Oh, definitely. I'll never forget. I was taking care of somebody that had a big reptile collection, and he was like, so this is the feeding. And in a whole separate shed, he had like crickets and live mice. And I was like, oh, no, can't do that. You have to get somebody else, just to hangle a mice over a cage by its tail and watch another animal devour it. That's not my thing.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. He had tarantulas, and he fed them baby mice, and they were live baby mice. And
now, did he just love having those tarantulas, or is that just like a thing because it's a cool thing to have, like, or it's like, oh, this is amazing, I'm going to impress my friends having tarantulas, or he felt like affinity for tarantulas?
No, he thought it was a cool thing to feed a baby mouse to a tarantula, I think. Yeah, I wasn't a fan. The geckos, I fed geckos before with the live crickets, and that seems to be no problem. Crickets aren't as, they're... Because a mouse is like a little furry kind of five-el rodent you see in movies, right? But a cricket is just, it's an insect, right?
It's an insect, right. Well,
still.
they're sentient beings too, so I guess you have an argument for, the cricket probably wants to live as much as anything else. Yeah. So we'll have to think about that one too.
You're very dedicated to pet rescue, right?
I really am. So, and actually today out here it's National Rescue Pet Day. So I really am dedicated to pet rescue and adopt, don't shop. I wouldn't say I'm anti-breeding, but I think there should be some sort of maybe moratorium on breeding, especially while there's so many healthy pets being euthanized and are just kind of waiting on death row for someone to come and rescue them. It's really a shame that there are so many of them. So I do work with the local shelters, and I do encourage people to adopt, don't shop. It's just too many pets being euthanized for no good reason and no fault of their own.
Mm-hmm. Speaking with Laura Vorreyer, author of the book The Petsitter's Tale and owner of Your Dog's Best Friend Pet Care Company. What bit of advice would you give anybody who wants to get into the pet care business?
Well, I say just go for it. I mean, if you have that passion and the dedication and you really, really, love pets. I mean, nobody does this because they're going to be a gazillionaire or, become rich and famous. If you really love pets, start where you're at. Take your dog for a walk and go meet the people in the neighborhood where you live that are walking their dogs. Go to the local dog park. Tell them that you're starting up a business. Hit up the veterinarians in your area. I mean, it's so easy to find people that need pet sitters and dog walkers. And also, we have a lot of on-demand apps out here. So I say if you can, register yourself with an app as well to get some experience and just go for it. And, it's easy to be successful at something that you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked earlier about some of the strangest requests. I guess it was the reptile one, you're dangling a mouse over the cage. What are some of the other crazy instructions you received from a celebrity client?
Well, I had a singer once who wanted me to sing her songs to her dogs, and that was strange because I don't have a great singing voice. And And then I had another client who lived out in the hills, and he wanted me to throw these chickens, these roasted chickens, over his fence to the coyotes in some sort of unspoken agreement that if he fed the coyotes, then the coyotes wouldn't jump his fence and eat his little dogs. He had 6 little chihuahuas and Maltipoos and 6 tiny little dogs, and he was terrified that they would be eaten by the coyotes. So he proactively fed the coyotes these chickens every day. And when they went on vacation, he's like, "Hey, can you toss these chickens over the fence?" And I thought, well, that's kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. Well, you know what? The first night when I was in bed at the client's, I could hear the coyotes howling and making all these noises on the other side of the fence. And I thought, oh my gosh, I really better feed those coyotes because I think they're used to it now.
Yeah, he's actually got 6 dogs and 30 coyotes.
I know, right? Exactly. I mean, I really think that the coyotes got used to being fed by this guy.
Sure.
And maybe because they weren't hungry, they didn't eat the dogs, but I was always so scared. Like, what does it get that one coyote who's like, I didn't get any chicken tonight. I think I will eat one of those dogs.
Since I'm here already. Yeah, exactly. It's like people feeding deer and they wonder why the deer are coming into their backyard. And if you're not feeding them, they're looking around going, well, look at this, flowers, yum, yum, yum.
Right. Yeah. Same with bunnies, They're oh, this garden is delicious. Thank you so much.
Laura, it was wonderful talking to you. Laura's the author of the book, The Petsitter's Tale, and Laura Vorreyer, you're a gem. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Harry. It was great to be on. It's just really nice to talk to another fellow pet lover.